Hi there. Welcome back to my channel. I tried to push across my floor with my spinny chair, but it's really hard to do when you're just so damn thick. Anyway, welcome back. A couple months back, I did a video called Ranking the VeggieTales characters based off of whether or not they'd be able to win a Battle Royale. And compared to some of my other videos, and just kind of in general, it performed really well and still is one of the top viewed videos on my channel. And I actually liked that so much that I thought, you know what, let's revisit it. Let's do a number 2 electric boogaloo, if you will, with a different background. So we're going to do the same thing, more or less, kind of a similar function, but this time we're doing a different subject. Now, I believe I have summoned the heavy hitters of the cereal box community. I feel that I've gone through all the good lengths, all the necessary lengths to find these characters that I really feel are, at the very least, on some part of the spectrum of this list. There are some that I feel like maybe could have been tossed in there. There's probably a good amount that I forgot about, but you know, we'll save that for the next time we do this, if we want to do something like this again. Fun little side note, making this list was actually kind of perilous because, when you look up certain cereal mascots, you find a lot more explicit results than you were expecting. I'll just say that. And yeah, word to the wise, if you ever want to do something similar like this, just just kind of scan the first half of the first page. Don't go down any further. Google's a hell of a place when you don't have safe search on. So I guess just be careful in that regards. Just like last time, I've made a tier list that I've broken down into 5 separate categories that all have their own special implications about them. And to get started on the very first one, this is instant win. These are guys that the moment they land, they are eating ass and taking names. It is physically impossible to take these guys down. If you see them just across from you, you should either run or just start praying, because these are not going to be people that mascot characters, I guess, that you're going to be able to stand against, especially if you're one of what I consider to be the lower tier mascot characters. It's over for you. These people are top of top, creme de la creme. It's over for you. Next, we have great odds. And these are characters that they're probably going 75% of the time. If they're not landing next to an instant win, if an instant win's not in that situation, they're probably going to win. There's maybe 1 or 2 factors that prevent them from being an instant win. And it's pretty likely that they're going to succeed if things go their way. And more than likely, they're going to go their way. So great odds are just very solid, very good at what they do. And the likelihood of them succeeding is very high. Next, we have It's Possible, and this is pretty self-explanatory. There are a lot of reasons they're probably not going to win, but they're a lot higher than the other 2 tiers. And I mean, I guess if the rain falls the right way, if the wind follows them in a certain spot, there's a chance they could win. It's not impossible, but I wouldn't bet on these guys. If this were a Hunger Games style situation, I'm not betting on these guys just because it's not likely, but it is a possibility. It'll take a miracle when things start to get sad, because these are characters that you know in your heart of hearts they're not going to succeed. If maybe some sort of divine intervention hops in, is like, hey, no, yeah, you guys are going to win, there's practically 0 chance. These are the guys, these are like the 10%, where if great odds are 75, these guys are 10%. The likelihood is functionally not there. It is almost impossible. For sure, if you bet on these guys, you're getting like 1,000,000 to 1. Like, it's going to be really good, real good betting. But these are not the people that are going to succeed. These are going to be the ones that they die pretty much the moment they land, or they're going to forget to open their parachute. It's done. It's over with. These guys are done so. Never is the simplest of this entire list. There is no odds. They are 0%. Even God has turned their backs on them at this point if these people decide to hop in this arena. They are the polar opposite of instant win. And it's pretty easy to say, you vote on these guys or you bet on these guys, you're stupid, you're dumb, you are cavalier with your finances, and it's not a smart idea. These guys suck. So I'm going to put the tier list right up here. So nice and simple. We can see it nice and pretty as we add more stuff onto it. And below it, I'm going to show the competitors so you can get a look at their faces as things go on. Now, as you can see, we have a pretty good number. I believe we have 16, if I'm not mistaken, cereal mascots that can, may or may not go the distance. We'll see. It's my own decision. But yeah, so here's our tier list. Here's our competitors. Let's get started. First off, we have Applejack and Cinnamon. Now, if you're like me and you're a big gamer and you understand the jargon, these two have what I like to call ice climbers energy. They are equal to one another. They are dependent on one another. If one falls, so does the other. It's just they are a very close-knit duo of guys. The likelihood that they can succeed together, putting their heads together, it's very high. They're smart guys. And I mean, I get that the commercials were supposed to be like, oh, one was real calm and mellow and one was, Jack Nicholson if he got turned into an apple by a witch. Like it was a weird concept, but it worked, right? They worked well. I like to think they're best friends. And so I think in this situation, the likelihood of them succeeding is not 100%. It's not really high, but I'm going to say it's possible. I'm going to say the possibility of them succeeding is good, but ultimately when compared to the other heavy hitters on this list, they're probably not going to get very far. Next, we have Fred Flintstone. And this one might be cheating, but I mean, I feel like he's been the face of two separate cereals over the course of the years, and that's just something that most mascots will never achieve within their careers. So we have to give Fred his roses on this one. And I'm going to say right off the bat, great odds. I think the likelihood that Fred gets to the finish line 3/4 of the time is incredibly high. The guy has resourcefulness. He's incredibly strong. I mean, he's a caveman and he understands how things function, how things work. He knows how to bang two rocks and make a spear, right? The guy's not book smart, don't get me wrong, but he's cave smart. He's world smart. He's street smart. He understands things that just other characters simply won't. So I think for those reasons, he's going to be put up in great odds. Maybe if you put him next to the heavy hitters, he's not going to succeed. I mean, no one's going to against them, but I do really feel like he has very good odds. Next, we have Buzz the Honey Nut Cheerios B, and never. Just short, sweet, to the point. This guy's never making it. His size, he's too small. And yes, I know it's the size of the fight in the dog, not the size of the dog in the fight. But the fact of the matter is, even with the people we've already had on this list so far, even with Cinnamon and Applejack and Fred Flintstone, he'd fall to them, right? He'd even fall to the lower ones, right? Like he's not strong enough. I don't think he's smart enough to necessarily resort to tactics. I just don't feel like Buzz can make it very far. And so that's why I'm going to put him in never. Following Buzz, we have Toucan Sam. And I'm going to say, I love Toucan Sam, okay? He's a very lovable mascot. He's been around for a long time, and he's a damn toucan, all right? Toucans are dope. But fact of the matter is, I don't think he's going to make it very far. I do think that Toucan Sam, he's got a lot of heart. He's a great guy. He's very good with kids from the newer commercials that we've seen. But I think that's what works against him. When you're in a battle royale, you have to be fierce. You have to be animalistic. And I don't think he could ever rile that up. I don't think it's a likelihood that he could ever get to that position. That being said, I do think he has a significantly higher chance than Buzz does. I just think, on top of the fact that he can fly, I think on top of the fact that his beak is so sharp, the likelihood of him succeeding is miles ahead of Buzz, but he's not hitting Flintstone levels. He's not even hitting Applejack Cinnamon levels. I'm gonna put him in It'll Take a Miracle, because he is the definition of it would take a miracle. Next, we have the Trix Rabbit, and I'm not gonna lie, the Trix Rabbit would probably go feral. All right, he's probably so pent up, waiting for the likelihood, just waiting for the chance that he can go, oh, I can kill anybody, just fine, and I won't get arrested for it. Dope. Let's run it in, right? Like he's like pent up aggression. He's spent what, like 20, 30 years trying to get just a couple of parts, like a couple of nibbles of Trix cereal, and he's been denied it for so long, just based on the fact that he's a rabbit, which I'm pretty sure is racist if you ask me, right? Like this guy has so much just fury built up inside of him. He's trying to eat his favorite cereal, or maybe at least he might not even like it. That's the thing I don't think people take into account. He might not even enjoy it. Maybe he's just trying to get a taste, see if he likes it. And if he doesn't, maybe he'll leave you alone, right? Maybe you just have to toss him a Trix pebble or two and let him figure it out for himself. But you know what? The world does not want want to be on the side of the Trix Rabbit, and that's where he gets it. That's where he gets his aggression, and that's where he gets to great odds, right? Because he's high up there. He's good at what he does. I think he's unintentionally good at what he does. And I think the chances of him just spinning around, knocking people on their asses is very high. Now, yeah, you put him up against the heavy hitters, he's done, right? Unfortunately, the manic power can only go to a certain point. And once it hits that point, it's done and over with. So he's not an unstoppable force, but he is a very difficult to stop force. And that's why I'm going to say that he is in great odds. Next, we have Captain Crunch. Now, I'm pretty certain the thought process from everyone else at home is he's probably going an instant win, right? Because he's one of the only humans in this category. He understands he's a captain, right? So he's some sort of Navy commander, or he's probably had some experience around boats and or weaponry. So the guy probably has a good amount of experience. However, I'm going to go with the controversial thought. I'm going to go with the controversial opinion, and I'm going to drop him down in great odds. And the only reason I'm doing this is simply based on the fact that the man is far older than the rest of these characters. Yes, the man knows what he's doing, and he's a smart guy, but I just feel like the physical aspect, right? Tactics are a big part of Captain Crunch, right? That's his whole thing. He's gonna hide in a tree and drop a beehive on you and watch as you die, right? Like that's the type of thing. But I don't think Captain Crunch can rely on his strength. He has to rely just quite simply on his wits. And he's sharp as a tack. He knows what he's doing. Boom, boom, boom. He's getting everything out of the way, right? But if you had to put him in even a fist fight against Fred, it's done. It's over with. He just doesn't have the physical capacity anymore. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to put him in great odds simply because of that factor. Next, we have the little sentient piece of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and this is an odd ad, I'm not going to lie to you, simply just based off the fact that it doesn't feel like an actual sentient being. With these other mascots, it's kind of like, okay, they clearly have free will. They can speak, they're very open and vocal about what they do, right? So they're very alive. You can sense that. But I like to liken the little Cinnamon Toast Crunch homunculus to a piranha. It's like a land piranha, because at least in the commercials that I've seen, it's always eating things. And I feel like that's its biggest weakness and also its greatest strength. And that's where I think it's going to get put in It's Possible. Because while it's not necessarily maybe sentient or smart enough to understand what it's doing, I think inadvertently, if things go in its favor, there's a chance it could just devour all the combatants, take them all out, and it's done and it's over with. So I don't think it's necessarily weak. I just don't know if it has the capacity to necessarily know where to direct its power, where to direct its piranha-like nature, and it's just going to take a big windstorm of random factors that are going to lead to this thing winning. This next one it's a little bit difficult to explain, right? Because this one is the Wheaties Box. Now, the Wheaties mascot, I mean, if you can call it a mascot, changes every couple of years, right? So it goes from athlete to athlete, kind of showcasing their abilities or showcasing that they're worthy of being on the Wheaties Box. And I think this can count as a mascot simply because I feel like a mascot is just anything that outwardly advertises something, and I feel like that's what having a celebrity athlete on the box is doing. And I'm gonna say pretty much anyone who's on the Wheaties Box is going in an instant win. That's our first instant win of the entire list, right? In the picture, it's Muhammad Ali on the box, and he's definitely taking it, right? Captain Crunch, he's getting knocked out one hit by Muhammad Ali. It's over, right? And you even have Kobe, Serena Williams, LeBron, right? All of these fantastic athletes. If any of them drop on the Fortnite Island with any of these mascots, it's done and over with. So I feel like it's a very simple put, but I feel like there's also a lot of explaining that has to be made as to why I feel like this should be included, but I feel like it should be, and if we're going to include it, it's going an instant win. Next, we have Snap, Crackle, and Pop. And much like Cinnamon and Applejack, they have an Ice Climbers-esque energy. I feel like they could, when they put their minds together, they can really accomplish a lot. And I feel like, 3 heads is better than 2, 2 heads is better than 1, right? So 3 heads is better than 1. And so I feel like Snap, Crackle, and Pop, based on tactics alone, should be able to get pretty far, but I think they're going to stop short of victory. So I'm going to put them in It's Possible for the similar reasons as Applejack and Cinnamon. But I just really feel like in this situation, our Ice Climber-esque characters, they're good at what they do, but when you put them up against the other ones, they're just not going to go very far. So I'll slap him in It's Possible, and I'll kind of leave it right there. Next, we have Frankenberry, and I would argue that in this situation, he should be called Tankenberry because he is physically large, he is physically powerful, and he's just one of those characters that is just going to be very difficult to take down. You cannot 360 no-scope Frankenberry. The man is just physically large, physically powerful. He probably has bulletproof skin, if I had to guess. I'm kind of assuming that Frankenstein had a similar thing. I don't know why, because that's just kind of cool for me. But I'm going to say Frankenberry, very strong. I'm going to put him in great odds. Now, as with other ones in great odds, you put him up against the Wheaties Box people. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to be easy, and they're probably going to lose. But any other situation, I'm going to say Frankenberry's taking the cake. He's taking the crown 3/4 of the time. Now, on the other hand, we have Boo Berry, and I love Boo Berry. The cereal smacks. It's always wonderful to see it show up on the shelves every Halloween and around that time, but Boo Berry just does not have it in him. I mean, even looking at the picture, the man just emanates pacifist, all right? I feel like if you put Boo Berry in a situation like this, he's just going to be like, no, dude, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to hurt people, right? I'm a little Boo Berry guy. I don't want to hurt anybody, right? And I mean, also the fact that he's already dead, so he can't be killed and he can't do any harm either. So there's no implication to tell us that Boo Berry is a demon who has the ability to possess people or cause physical manipulation within the real world. So we can just say that he's just a ghost, and you plop him in the middle of a battle royale, and it's just not going to work for him. And I have nothing against Boo Berry. I don't think that it's necessarily having to do with his skills. He's probably a very skilled guy, but he's moved on from this life. He's away from the corporeal realm, and he should be living it up somewhere else. So I'm going to put him in Never, more out of respect than anything else. And to finish off that trilogy, we have Count Chocula. Now, I'm gonna put him in between the two of them. I'm going to put him in between his two brothers. He's not Frankenberry, right? He's never going to be Frankenberry, and quite frankly, he needs to get that into his skull. He needs to get to a spot where he's okay with being Count Chocula and not Frankenberry, because he's just not going to hit it. But he's also not Boo Berry, right? He's also alive. He's physically capable of doing things, and if he's a vampire, we have to assume he has enhanced strength, he has enhanced abilities, agilities, things like that. But being a vampire, in my opinion personally, is far more of a hindrance than it is of a help. And if Count Chocula is literally a chocolate vampire, then that adds a whole other list of problems on top of this. I'm going to put him in It'll Take a Miracle, as much as it pains me because I really do want to see him succeed. But I just feel like his physical limitations in terms of, let's say this is an outside tropical arena, right? Because you never really know where you're getting dropped, right? This is a tropical arena. You have a chocolate vampire that's like double affected by sun. It's just not going to be smart. You're just not going to win. So I'm going to put him in It'll Take a Miracle, because you never know. Maybe something might come along, but the odds are nowhere near in his favor. And I'm just going to say, of the three Halloween breakfast brothers, I'm going to say he's probably the most in the middle. Moving from one holiday to another, we have Lucky the Leprechaun. And let me just say, I cannot stand this guy, all right? This was the guy that every St. Patrick's Day would just walk into your kitchen, ruin everything, leave footprints everywhere, turn your milk green. It was just, I can't stand the guy. He feels like a person who lives his life however he wants to at the expense of other people. I really feel like Lucky just does what Lucky wants, and people suffer because of it. He just does not feel like a very pleasant person to be around. That having been said, I do feel like the guy has chances. And I'm going to put him in It's Possible. Because, he's a leprechaun. Leprechauns are magical, assumedly, right? So he probably has some charms up his sleeve. He probably has a nice little slick-talking, silver-tongued way that he could probably get his way through. But, I mean, you put him against Captain Crunch, he's probably going to get choked out. But you put him up against Boo Berry, and it's not really a competition, right? So I'm going to throw him in It's Possible. As much as I have disdain for Lucky the Leprechaun, I do think his chances are pretty 50-50. Next, we have the Sugar Smacks Frog. And of all of these mascots, he's the most honest, because that sugar does indeed smack. But the fact of the matter is, he's too good of a guy. The Sugar Smacks Frog is just too good of a person. Like, when I see his face, I think it's a face that says, yeah, I go to my kids' piano recitals, right? Like, he is a genuinely caring guy. And I think in a situation like this, you have to be open to the possibility you're going to have to kill people. It's just an inevitability. And I think in this situation, not only would he not do that, but he would find a soft solution. And that's not a bad thing. It's not bad to be soft. but he would find the diplomatic solution, and somewhere amongst that would cause his death. And so ultimately I'm going to put him in It's Going to Take a Miracle, because I think he could kill if he had to, but it would haunt him for the rest of his days. He could win a battle royale. The odds are very low, but he could win a battle royale. But it's more in his case a matter of whether or not he should than if he can. Second to last, we have Tony the Tiger of Frosted Flakes fame. And this guy, right off the bat, instant win. Every single time. The moment he drops, he's winning these fights. And here's the thing about Triple T, all right? The man is athletic. He understands physical fitness. He's been running around doing physical stuff since like 85, right? The man knows what he's doing. So it's not too far-fetched to believe that he would be incredibly capable of killing somebody, right? And I mean, he's a tiger. He has those instincts. It's probably very easy for him to sum it up in his mind. So I'm going to say that he's an instant win every single time. It seems the most logical for me. It feels the most logical out of all of these characters, all of these representatives of various cereals. Tony's the top of the top. He's cream of the crop. He's always winning. He's right an instant win. And finally, we have the Cookie Crisp Wolf. Side note, be very careful when you look up the Cookie Crisp Wolf. It is an absolute castle of kinky. I think I'm going to put the Cookie Crisp Wolf in It's Gonna Take a Miracle. And partially because I just needed the space to fit, but also because I do think like his biggest hindrance is the fact that he is too enthused by his cereal. I feel like he would be very easy to trick. If you put him in front of something that just even relatively looks like a cookie, he's probably going to lose his mind. And I just think generally, just overall, we got to put him in It's Gonna Take a Miracle, because I mean, don't get me wrong, if he can get over his obsession with Cookie Crisp, he can be an apex predator. He'll be an easy win every single time, but just until he gets over that, it's not really going to happen. So I'm going to put him in It's Gonna Take a Miracle. And with that, I think that's where we're going to end it today. Not because I want to deprive you of good content. It's just I don't know if I can go much further down the Rule 34 rabbit hole for cereal mascots before I totally lose my mind. So yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Let me give you another little nudge to like, comment, and subscribe. And I mean, comments can be anything. It can be just like, oh wow, Derek, you're super attractive and funny, and I really like you, and your mustache and beard are so perfectly combed, and I love that you have a flamingo shirt on. Would you like to go on a date with me? It could be anything like that. Just nice and simple, nice and easy, nothing too crazy. Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me. I appreciate it a lot. I hope you have a good day, week, or wherever you're at, and I hope to see you next week.